Everybody was Pandora fighting. All right, let's see if the cast members were fast as lightning. But folks, this is no laughing matter. Tom Corliss, a big fan of us, I'm sure, writing this one for WDW News Today. Tom loves us, I bet. Canadian man arrested for shoulder checking. Shoulder checking. What is this, football? They stiff arm them? Hang on, folks. This is a story now. A Canadian tourist, had to be a one. Dear Canadian viewers out there listening right now, I apologize. That was mean of me. I was making a joke, okay? We love you guys, you crazy Canucks. We love you. A Canadian tourist, you're the only ones who'll get in the swimming pools in January here. A Canadian tourist has been arrested after allegedly shoulder checking a cast member in Disney's Animal Kingdom. It says a Canadian tourist was accused of shoulder checking a Disney cast member who would not let him or his family into a closed Animal Kingdom attraction at the end of the night. So there's more to this than a shoulder check. Domenico Barbieri, 48, of Palgrave in Ontario, Canada, was arrested and charged with first-degree misdemeanor battery. He pleaded not guilty. The park had a 7 p.m. closing time on the day when the situation happened, and it happened at 7:10. Barbieri asked the Disney Attractions cast member about his family outside, and the employee told him they could not enter the ride because it was closed for the night, 10 minutes after the park is closed. The chains blocking the guest entrance had already been closed off at this point. 3 of Barbieri's family members had jumped the chains. See, I told you there's more to this. 3 of Barbieri's family members had jumped the chains and approached the employee, according to the Orange County Sheriff's arrest report. The Disney employee escorted them out of the line, and Barbieri left as well. Again, 10 minutes after the park had closed. But that wasn't enough. Even longer, even later into the park being closed, Barbieri and his family returned, jumped the chains, tried to sneak in through the lightning lane entrance. And again, the employee stopped them, the arrest report said. Cast member, right? The cast member stood in his way and blocked Barbieri's path. And here's where we get into pronouns really mattering. I know, folks, but they do. In this case, the cast member stood in his way and blocked Barbieri's path with her hand on the handrail and asked him to leave again, according to the arrest report. She asked if they could discuss the situation outside the attraction. And I'm going to say something here. Where the heck is security?
Exactly.
Why is there one young lady, and usually at this time, it's often young people, because people with seniority often aren't working after the park closes, so this is likely a young lady. Why is a young lady having to deal with a crazy man and his crazy family, allegedly? Why is security not there? Quote, Domenico continued advancing and shoved her, the cast member, with his shoulder, claiming that she was not going to stop him. The cast member continued up the line, but kept herself in front of Domenico so he could not continue towards the other employees and guests. Domenico shoulder checked her a subsequent time as he made it towards the next employee at the end of the lightning lane. Barbieri, who is listed as 5'6" and 175 pounds in the arrest report, finally stopped when he reached the rest of the crowded line. The employee alerted Disney security and her management about what happened. The sheriff's office interviewed Barbieri, who largely corroborated the Disney employee's account. Of course he did. It's all on camera. Barbieri said the employee put her hand up on the rail to block him as he was going forward in the line against all instruction. In doing so, he walked into her trying to pass. All right, so I'm gonna add a little second part to this, okay? So not only do I ask myself, where in the world was security, honestly? But I also say to myself, this is the kind of behavior that happens when you can't afford to pay for the premium pass to get on this ride, and you find out at closing at 7 p.m., oh my gosh, we've come all the way from Canada. We're never coming back. We've got one chance to ride this. By golly, we're going to ride this. And that's how this kind of a situation gets set up. It doesn't justify what he did. But I'm telling you, this kind of behavior comes from people not being able to ride the thing they paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do. And they get down there and they realize, oh, it's behind another paywall. We can't afford it, and we're not going to get to ride it. By golly, we're getting on. And we don't know, did it have times where it was down that day? We don't know, right? So that's the issue here. MJ, I'll go to you. It's never okay to push, shove, none of that, obviously. I mean, it's just not. But I can see how Disney is setting up bad systems that make these kinds of bad behaviors more likely rather than less. What say you?
Well, it becomes unsafe. And here we go again with the high prices of the admission getting into the park. It's the haggle, it's the inconvenience of we paid all this money, we traveled all this way, and now we're not going to be able to get on this attraction before we go home, or maybe their trip is ending that night or first thing in the morning. But let me just say this: cast members, especially the young people that are still learning about life, because when you're in your 20s, 30s, you're still learning. You still have a lot to go. You need to not be a hero. It's late in the day already. I don't know how long this line was. And like you said, Pro, I don't know if maybe this ride was down most of the day and these people just couldn't get on. But I feel like this could have just been, this is just my opinion, just let them go. If you see someone like that frustrated and there's no line, I'm sure there probably wasn't that big of a line. Give me a break.
I'm going to disagree, MJ. You can't let people on after the park closes or it'll never stop. So
well, if they were in line already, because sometimes people get in line and then they jump through the other side.
I think they jumped the chain, but the way I still agree with you that the way this was handled is incorrect from the cast member side. I don't want to be mean to her because she's the victim in this, but the way to handle this, and Ron, you tell me if procedurally I'm right here, she shouldn't try to stop them. She should step aside. She should call security and say, pick them up. They're the last ones in line. They've entered the ride. They've been told not to. This is the second time. I'm not going to try to body block a grown man as a female. I'm not going to try to block this man and his family. I'm outnumbered, but you'll find them. Here's what they look like, and go grab them and get them off.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, she probably tried to do that. She probably tried it. Obviously, she's trying to stop them from going through. She's obeying the rules that she's been given to the best of her ability, and also sometimes thinking quick on your feet when something like this happens. It's kind of unexpected. You typically don't think of guests doing that.
At the point, Ron, that we get into it, Ron, at the point we get into it, I mean, the timeline here matters. I mean,
right. Yeah.
It says 10 minutes is when the first altercation happens. Then he comes back later. I mean, we may be at like 7:15, 7:20, and the park closed 20 minutes earlier, and we're still trying to jump,
so
chains and stuff.
I would have called security immediately upon the first altercation, and it is the biggest question: where were the security professionals and police? Because we do know that or either Orange County or Osceola County, probably Osceola County in this instance, police should have been on the premises, and most likely were on the premises. I don't know if he was arrested on the spot later, but this is.
But John, don't you as a cast member, can't you like let's say like what I was saying, let them go in, right, and then notify a cast member that's on the other side? That we're talking about flight of passage, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I was in the line, flight of passage, the park had already closed, but they don't stop you. They don't tell you once you're in line, they don't tell you, hey, it's time to get out. You're able to ride still, even the park is closed. She could have notified another cast member and security back at her little station when you first enter this ride. Okay. And then they could have met those folks, give them, like you guys said, give them the description of what they look like, and they could have talked to them on the other side because they still have a distance to go. That's a very long queue line. So I think there's a lot of measurements that could have taken place. She shouldn't be a hero. Don't play a hero because you could get hurt. It's already after hours and the sun goes down pretty early, like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So it's dark. And I know there's cameras everywhere. I know there's pretty good lighting, but things can happen and irreversible damage to someone, like you said, it's a young lady. This is a man that she's dealing with that seems to be aggravated, annoyed. He's probably upset that him and his family haven't been able to go on this ride all day. So there's a lot of things that she could have done. I would have not put my arm. I would have let them go and then have someone meet them on the other side. And then just when they think they would get away with it, they would be removed and escorted from the park if they have that kind of abusive behavior.
Right. But I want to reiterate to people too, the way this happens is You're a family, you've got the money to go to Disney World once, and that's it. And you traveled from Canada, and you're not coming back. And maybe this is like the thing that you promised your kid, we're going to ride that.
Right.
And you go to a show or you go to a ride, and there's a delay. Let's say let's say a rhino or a giraffe walks out in front of the safari ride, and you were delayed 20 minutes, and you promised them, we're going to get on that ride, and you didn't make it. And you're 10 minutes late. It's the thousands and thousands of dollars that causes people to act this way. So when we read these stories, it's easy for us to laugh and say, what a moron. Come on, dude. Come on, man. It's easy for us to do that.
Yeah.
What Disney has done is they've created such a high pressure system that you get high pressure responses now because people have promised kids things. They spent thousands of dollars to be here. They may not get another chance. And that's when you get the bad behaviors. And if Disney would lessen that, the opportunity for people to go in and be forced into these bad kinds of situations, I think people might behave better. I'm not justifying the behavior. I'm trying to explain how we create the kettle, kind of situation where it just, it's a high pressure cooker in there with a lot of folks.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't see this nearly as much, if at all, when FastPass was a thing and it was complimentary and it was part of the day, because FastPass, when it was complimentary, the great thing about FastPass is, boy, was that an easy way to temper guest concerns, because, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. I tell you what, I could add 3 FastPasses for you. I mean, it was such a,
you make their day doing
great system. And I wish, I understand every company needs to make profit, needs to make their money. I just wish that Disney could figure out a way to do something other than have this lightning lane paid system to make up for that revenue. It's probably a lot of revenue because people do pay for it, but you'd think that this is Disney. There's probably something they could do alternatively to make up for that kind of revenue.
But you would think logically the lightning lane. Okay, so how many lightning lanes can you sell in one day to each group or each person or whatever? The park closes at 7. Let's say the ride has been down for hours and it goes back up at 6:30. Are you really going to force people to purchase a lightning lane when there's 30 minutes left to get in the queue to ride this thing? I mean, just turn it off. Like, have a lightning lane. 6 o'clock is the last one, right, to sell. And then everybody would just go into the regular queue line, the standby. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how Disney could alleviate something like this, because this gentleman was obviously very upset. He we don't know how large his party is or how many kids, his wife. That's a lot of money. Travel expenses, the tickets, the food, the merchandise, everything adds up. Your stay at the resort, if they're even staying on property, who knows? But they probably wanted to get this in before their trip ends, because if they're coming in from Canada, that's a long way home.
Right. And you never know. Maybe they promised the kid. Maybe they said, hey, we're going to ride this. I promise. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And people can make bad decisions when they feel like they've been put into a bad place. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you, folks, that's the way it is with Disney. And I agree. Going back to the old FastPass system, I think I think that's better, because a lot of folks, when they pay all this money and they show up, when they find out, oh, that ride that we've been planning to do for months now, because a lot of people don't do the research. When they go and they've spent thousands and they get there, and when they find out, oh, well, that's going to be another $200 if you all want to ride that. I don't think people enjoy that very much.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.